In this video, I'm going to show you the booty that I brought back from AdeptiCon 2019. So I've been back from AdeptiCon now for like 3-4 days. It's kind of a blur, but I, as usual, had a great time. I met a lot of viewers. I met a lot of other people. I shot a bunch of footage for a project that I'm working with AdeptiCon on, and I had some adult beverages, and I bought some things. And by some things, I kind of mean a lot of things. So I'm going to try to run through, and I'm sure I'm going to miss some things here, but I'm going to try to run through some of the cool stuff that I brought back from AdeptiCon 2019. I don't even know where to start, honestly. So some AdeptiCon stuff. Why don't we start with that? So I always like to get, over the last 3 years, they have these challenge coins that they make that are limited edition, and you can kind of see here. It comes into focus eventually. Yeah, so these things are really super cool, and I really like, I don't even know what for. I have the last 3. They're kind of collector's items. I think the military has kind of a challenge coin sort of thing going on that I don't know a lot about, but they're very cool. I believe they're made by Games and Gears, and they're just a little thing that you can tack on to your badge price, and that you pick it up when you're there, and I just enjoy it. One thing you couldn't tack on to your badge price, but you could pick up if you were lucky once you got there, was the bottle opener. Yeah, this is a bottle opener. So with this thing, you can open beer bottles and soda bottles and things like that. But it's a giant honking skull, and it says AdeptiCon on it. And when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I kind of need to have that. So I definitely picked that up. And then lastly was, a pin. I have this jacket that I wear, kind of camouflage thing. It's got lots of pins and buttons and patches all over it. So I needed to have this pin as well. And it's just kind of a nice red and black, which it's kind of my thing. So I picked that up as well, I think on the first day, because I wanted to make sure I didn't miss out. These things can sell out if you don't kind of hop to it. There were also painting supplies that I picked up, a bunch of them actually. I needed to get some more parchment color from our friends over at Secret Weapon. This is the best wash that's not really a wash in the world, in my opinion. I use it a lot for terrain, and I'm going to make a video about it soon and kind of show you how I can use it to really weather very quickly big pieces of terrain. And when you do it to big pieces of terrain, you'd use a bunch of it, so I had to pick up some more. I also was given by the folks at Artis Opus, actually Sam and I were walking around through the vendor area, and we walked by the booth, and they brought us in, and they gave us 3 brushes each of their new Artis Opus brushes, and asked us like what size we wanted and stuff. And I went with the 4, the 1, and the 00. And I honestly don't remember what Sam went with. We might have gone with the same thing. I've not tried them out yet. I know a lot of people do seem to like them, and they wanted to know kind of what we thought. Honestly, I think Sam's opinion is going to be probably more important than mine, but we'll see. They also gave us a tiny little thing of soap, is what this is, and not for your body, but for your brushes. I also picked up a bottle of brush cleaner. Now, this is a little different than the soap that you see from places like Games and Gears or Artis Opus. This is designed, the way it was explained to me, is you get about 4 ounces of water, you put 4 or 5 drops of this into it, and then you let the brush kind of sit nose down. You don't actually touch it to the bottom of the thing, but you sort of let it sit in there and just hold it for maybe like a minute. And the idea is that all the gunk that's up in the bristles is supposed to kind of help get released that way, so you can help to clean out your brushes. And Lord knows I've got a bunch of brushes that could probably, definitely give this a run for its money. So it's just a little bottle of purple stuff, and I'm going to definitely try it out and see what it does and how it works, because like I said, I need to make a brush cleaning video because a lot of people ask me about it. So out of painting and more into the hobby portion at this point, I picked up 2 of these acrylic texture rods from Green Stuff World. Technically, Green Stuff World wasn't there, but there was a company there called Dad's Army, and they were selling at a retail location. These acrylic rods are designed for running over your green stuff. So you put some green stuff on a piece of terrain maybe, or you put it on a base, and then you roll this across it back and forth to put whatever texture in there. So this one's called Madness, and it has a bunch of stuff that could be potentially like the temple floor of like a Cthulhu temple or something like that. And the other one that I got is called Factory, which is kind of an industrial thing. I've got several of these actually. I've picked some up at Nova Open as well, and I really like them. They also make spacers that you can put on the edges so that they're the right height for the, for the actual base, so you're not kind of wiggling back and forth as you roll back and forth. But that's not a necessity. It's just an extra little piece. I didn't see any at AdeptiCon, but I picked some up at Nova. Just a little bit more craft, and then we're on to the models. I took a class from a guy named Tom Mason, I believe it's Tom Mason, about how to sculpt hairdos onto your models. Like if you've got a bald-headed Space Marine and you want to give him a pompadour or a mohawk or whatever, then we learned how to kind of do that and go from there. But I won a thing of green stuff. Like they had raffle tickets, and there were some things they gave out, and one of the things they gave out was a big old thing of blue and yellow here from Neat-Tite or whatever. And so now I have a thing like this, but it's really, really old and getting hard, so this is actually kind of nice. You're starting to see more and more companies, not only that are producing 3D files for you to buy and download and then use on your 3D printer, but those same companies are frequently actually just printing some of those files and then bringing them to conventions for the people who don't have a 3D printer. I do have a 3D printer, but these were kind of cool, and I just it was an impulse buy. I don't remember the name of the company, but he was kind of tacked onto the side of the Imperial Terrain booth, and he was a very nice person. And I picked up these two terrain pieces. They are just very simple, but they're nicely flat. You can definitely set things on top of them. Sometimes you see pieces of like terrain or area terrain, and you can't set stuff on them very easily, but these look like they definitely can. I was told that you should not probably do any drugs and then look at the other side, because they are trippy as all get out. So I hope that didn't affect anybody. I probably should have had some sort of trigger warning, sorry. A little more terrain, and then on to models. I picked up from Lasercraft some billboards. So these are designed technically for Car Wars, but you can use them for 28mm stuff as well. They just won't be as big as they would be in comparison to a Matchbox car that you would use in Car Wars. So this is one large kind of elevated one, and then you've got three small ones. And I'm going to probably actually maybe try to put these small ones maybe on top of buildings maybe or something along those lines, and the other one will be on the ground. But they're simple MDF, put them together, and then just kind of, glue them and then prime them with a decent primer. You need a nice filler primer, because otherwise all the paint will soak in to the MDF. I did a video about MDF terrain a long time ago, pachow, and you should check that out before you start doing any of this stuff. But it's really great once you get it kind of figured out, and you can do some really cool stuff with this. I'm looking forward to putting artwork inside there, because I'm a graphics nerd, and that's kind of what I do. Last piece of MDF is this little tray by this company called Mini Duels. They had a booth there, and they were selling all kinds of like trays to carry around your models in if you're at a tournament or something like that, and a bunch of other stuff. But they also had this thing, which is designed for like 40K or anything along those lines, and you can put dice in all these little squares, so you can keep track of what turn it is, you can keep track of how many command points you have, and then your victory points. They also had something too that had wheels on it you could turn, and I just kind of thought that might not work as well for me down the road. Plus, it was kind of tall and on like a stand, and I couldn't figure out a good way to actually like throw it into my bag and take it to places. This is very flat. This is not going to be a problem. Just chucking this into this pocket of my bag or whatever, and then going to town. So I don't know if I'm even going to bother painting it. It's just sort of a nice brown, and like all MDF, it smells pretty good too. So I bought some models. I did. There was a company there called Crucible Crush. If you go back to I think it might be even AdeptiCon last year, I bought Fishman from them. I bought a box of like Cthulhu style Fishman. They've, in my opinion, stepped up their game. They have a new game. It's not out yet, but the models are out. The rules aren't out yet. They're going to do a Kickstarter, I think, or something like that. And it's called Black Sun. And it's alternate history Vietnam. And so they've made Fishman with AK-47s. So like literally the first day I saw it in the booth and I said Fishman with AK-47s, and then I immediately bought some. So they're metal models, but they are just nice looking fish guys, good looking machine guns. They actually have 2 sets here. So I bought both, and I think it's 4 guys each. And they're predominantly one piece, but they're really cool sculpts. They're nice and bumpy. Like they have lots of, I don't know, warts. I don't know what do fishmen have, I guess. Warts, not scales. I mean, kind of scales. But when I bought those 2, the man at the booth he knew about the show and stuff, and so he also threw in some Americans. So 2 sets of basically Marines with guns. So eventually when the game comes out, maybe I can paint all these guys up and have battles and things like that. So I appreciate that. But just Fishman with AK-47s, I mean, really, I'm not made out of stone. You know what I mean? Like, what am I going to do, really? So yeah, bought those. I'm also working on a kill team that's going to be orcs. And I've been looking for parts for orcs, and there was a booth there, a store I think called Games Plus in Northern Illinois, and they were selling a lot of Cromlech resin stuff. So I got some cool Cromlech orc heads that are just kind of neat looking. I don't know what I'll exactly use them for, but they look like they're cans instead of heads. I got some amazing looking kind of crazy bolter guns, which I may use for my Lizardman counts as Kroot kill team. And then I was just looking through all the other parts, and I came across orc heads with fezzes on them. I mean, again, what am I supposed to do? Seriously, orc heads with fezzes. So all of my kill team orcs probably, not the Gretchens, but the orcs, will be wearing fezzes. Honestly, most of the Gretchens already have hats in that kit. But yeah, I mean, I can't. What am I going to do? Really, fezzes on orcs. Every year at AdeptiCon, there's a humongous booth, and it's run by a company, and it's just called The Bits Guy. And you go and you paw through all of the different little plastic baggies full of bits in these different bins that all have different, this one says Tau, and this one says Lizardman, and this one says Eldar, or whatever. And so, long story short, is I bought a completely built Broodlord, and it's already on a base. All I have to do is texture it and probably reprime it a little bit, maybe scrape a couple of mold lines. And it was $30, which I'm pretty sure that the Broodlord kit costs more than that. So I paid less to not have to build the darn thing, which I thought was a pretty good deal. You can find a lot of cool deals like that in the Bits Guy area, and plus you get to just dig through a bunch of bags and look at a bunch of, like, frankly, a lot of it is old stuff, but not all of it. You can learn a little bit of history sometimes about some of the games by doing that, and but definitely, if I don't have to build it, that's kind of a big benefit. So sometimes for me, building is kind of the part that I don't necessarily enjoy. A lot of times, the building is the part I kind of have to get through so that I can now go and paint, which is the part that I do tend to enjoy. On Sunday, when I was at AdeptiCon, I saw a bunch of really cool models in the Weird Games booth. They're the company that makes Malifaux. And some big robots, big fishmen. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. I'm pretty interested in that. And I started talking to the guy there about, like the prices and all that kind of stuff. And they were for a game called The Other Side, which it takes place in the world of Malifaux, but it is a larger game. It's not just like 4 or 5 models. It's designed to be a little bit more of an army-style game. And he told me that the entire game is pre-assembled. So the giant honking robot, the giant fishman, the little English folks, all that kind of stuff, they're all built. All you have to do is glue them onto the base. So when he said, yeah, you just have to glue them onto the base and maybe, a little bit of mold line here and there, not much, maybe some gaps. The Fishman's got some gaps that I need to fix, that kind of stuff. But I just was almost immediately sold. And then when he started telling me the prices, and they were really quite reasonable. I mean, the starter box for the entire English army is about $90 or $100, and same for the gibbering hordes, or is it gibbering? Is it gibbering or gibbering hordes? Anyway, who have fishmen in them. So as soon as I saw that they were pre-built fishmen, I thought, well, again, what am I going to do? So yeah, I picked up this book, and I also picked up, frankly, a bunch of stuff. I picked up a big robot, I picked up a big fishman, I can't even bring it all up here to show it to you because there's a lot of it. And I also picked up some other little kind of add-on pieces and things like that. So I'll probably be talking a little bit more about them on a Sunday show coming up. But it's a kind of a new game that I'm interested in. It's been around for a little while, but for me, the reason I picked up 2 sides was so that I can then take it to my local shop or whatever and, you know, play with somebody and say, you guys, you take these and I'll take these, and then kind of go from there. When you want to be a gaming advocate in some situations, you kind of have to do that. The other big benefit is that way I get to paint the really cool Englishmen and also the really cool bug people and fishmen, and I was having a hard time deciding, so I kind of picked up both. Lastly, I met some really nice folks, as I mentioned earlier, while I was at the convention. The folks from Paint Be Gone out of the Philippines, they gave me some chocolate-covered mangoes, which was very nice, and some samples of their stuff, so I'm going to take a look at that stripping material for getting paints off of minis. A lovely person from Australia who was in my class gave me some Australian Tim Tams and some Vegemite. I will definitely give these a try. I am a little nervous about that, so I'm not sure if I'm going to be going down that road. And then a viewer who came from Japan gave me one of these cool Series 2 Terminator Space Marine Heroes that I don't know what's inside, and you have to open it and find out which one of these could be that guy or that guy or that guy, or possibly even, I think that's Jigglypuff. I don't know what that is. I'm not sure. It's got a question mark, so who knows. I brought back probably a little bit more than I ought to have, especially like the other side stuff. I think that was a big kind of impulse purchase, but I've been looking at the game for quite some time and just never realizing that it was all pre-assembled. So like I said, that really kind of tripped it for me and really made me want to give that a try. So I don't know. I love the convention so much because every single booth you go to is related just to our hobby. When I go to other conventions like Gen Con and stuff like that, they're great conventions, but it's a board game, you know, company, and then it's maybe somebody reselling Magic singles, and then it's something else, and then maybe you find something that's like terrain or some kind of models or something like that. AdeptiCon, every single last booth is probably something that you're interested in. So I just kind of wanted to show you some of the cool stuff that I brought back. I didn't get the swag bag this year, which is got a whole bunch of other stuff with that. I just decided, I mean, in the past I've gotten a lot of that stuff, and it's a lot of samples and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I just kind of didn't pull the trigger this year. I thought about it a little bit later on, and then I kind of forgot. So I don't have that whole piece to show you, but I still think I brought back a reasonable amount of stuff, and I hope that you enjoyed it.